pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for the Romeo Downtown Development Authority for Monday, November 4th, 2019. Lisa, can we do a roll call?
Seidel, Humphreys, Malzahn.
Here.
Brandt.
Here.
Chaika. Hayes.
Here.
Poznanski.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Parker.
Yeah.
We have a quorum.
All right, very good. Welcome, Tom Stevens, for your first meeting. I'm sure everybody knows Tom already, but welcome to the board. Welcome back to the board, I guess I should say.
It's a nice return.
All right, next up, public forum. We don't have an audience today, so we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Can we get an approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as it is.
Motion by Poznanski. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brandt. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we need an approval of the minutes. We'll start with the September 9th, 2019, the regular meeting that we had. It's in
I
your
just
packet
combined
there.
them all into one because there's really not much on the informational ones. I mean, it's just kind of.
Well, we've got them broken into the two line items, so we'll do them individually.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't even gonna say that
Sure, true, yeah. All right, do we have an approval of the minutes from the September 9th, 2019 regular meeting?
one. So moved.
Motion by President Malzahn. Do we have a second?
Support.
Second by Poznanski. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, we need an approval for the informational meeting that we had. That was the one that started a half an hour before the regular meeting. Motion to approve?
Just a question, who was
Sure.
there? Was anybody there?
Yeah, I was, myself.
I don't know, was anybody from the public there?
Oh.
I don't care if you were there, that was something, you're not important.
I don't think anybody was there. No.
Fair, I should, yeah, that's my own
So there was,
arrogance.
there was,
No, nobody
No.
came.
okay.
So, we had but we did have an informal meeting and we just kind of, we talked about some of the things that were on there and then the rest of the board joined us. We do have to have one more
Yeah.
meeting like that. Is that for next month?
Next month at
Because we have to do that, so next month's meeting will be a half an hour early. We'll do the same informational meeting. We do have to post it like any other meeting. Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Brandt, do I have a second? I'll second it since I was there. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Sounds like
Carol,
the treasurer's coming in right now.
we'll give her a second to get settled in so that Carol can go over the treasurer's report with us. Just in the nick of time. Take your time. Can we bounce into the director's report? Do you want to do that, or
Sure.
should we stay?
Why don't we
Yeah.
do that?
All right,
Yeah, give her a chance to catch her
Yeah.
breath and
Lisa,
get
why
all
don't,
stuff out.
why don't we move on to the DDA director's report?
Okay.
Lisa, whenever you're ready.
Well, I'm just gonna sum up Harvest Days, and I did a whole lot of work for Harvest Days.
It's our big event.
That is our big event. Now, we dedicated the mural that day. They are still working on the plaque. I'm not sure exactly when the installs is gonna be. I think it's probably gonna be in the spring just because, the weather gets bad, probably way till then. I've gotta contact Grace and find out for sure.
Did we find out if we were getting, is that squared away? Was DTE going to sponsor?
I'm not sure yet.
So
That's
we're
what
still,
yeah,
that's
we're still, yeah,
out
I'm,
there.
that was the last I knew, that still had not been confirmed.
Okay.
So, we're not sure. We also did, so Harvest Days, I thought Harvest Days was a big success. I mean, we didn't have as many people as we did last year, but I think, it was rainy, it was cold, it was, in the morning, so we were down on people.
By roughly how many? Do we know?
I don't think we're down on people.
No, it
Just
was,
down
I
on
think
wristbands?
we're down on paid people.
that's another thing we do have to work on that. We've got to try and figure out a way to make sure that everybody has a wristband, because you've got people coming from all different directions.
Sure.
So it makes
A lot
it
of them
really-
would put them under their coats.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because, I mean, obviously we'll put over, and I said for next year, I would want to do away with the paper bands, and I want to buy the elastic, you know, the ones that we all hang out for all the different occasions.
Oh, no. Like
The rubber
support.
one,
The
right?
rubber ones.
And then
yeah.
they can fit over, if we get an adult size, they can fit over the kids' coats, and we can actually see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just have to, because that will be an
Well, paper
additional
ones will do
cost.
that too, but what
But
we
then you have
do,
to, your hands are cold, you're dealing with the little pieces of paper, trying to
Right.
put it
Right.
on there,
Yeah.
just put the bracelet on.
Yeah.
Well, and if it was contained into one area that was sort of cordoned off per se, right? Then you're controlling the access points
Right.
of who's coming in, because, you know, there were a few people that were just wandering around the park, you know, what do I
Right.
do, what do I do? Like, well, first you have to go over there and buy a
Yeah,
wristband.
and
Right.
signs
Yes.
for that too. Like,
Right.
they're- I mean,
They just
advertising,
didn't know,
yeah.
so,
Right.
yeah.
And
Right.
pre-orders.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
the pre-order idea is a great idea. I think if we have them available for people to come in and pick up, or you know, even if they buy them online, PayPal or whatever.
If you
I
don't
think
want
that's
to
a
do a wristband, if it's too expensive to order it, you can always just rubber stamp a kid's hand, right? You just get a self-inking stamp and just put a stamp on their little hand. I mean, I know if they have gloves
I
that,
know, and that's where it
But-
was, it was so cold there, gloves on,
Just-
some of the kids wouldn't put them on, so I'm like, well, put them on your stroller, or have, I
Right.
had told the adults to put them on their wrist, for
Alright.
the, so.
Honestly, you could
just-
even do something like a, you know, if you go to Westview, they give you it's like a sticker with
Yeah,
let them
put a
write their name on it or something, or put like, you know, Harvest Day, and that would be a cheap,
'Cause that would be
inexpensive
better
option. Then
on
it's
their
bigger,
coat.
it's displayed on the jacket, and then you can visibly see
Yeah.
everybody who's
Yeah.
paid.
Well, I mean, for, you know, the second year, I mean, we're still kind of trying
And we
to
would
fine tune things, so.
I think it'd be good to have someone that was their whole job, because I wouldn't expect the woman who we hired to run the ponies to yell at the people for not having their things.
All right, no,
I would,
not at
I
all.
would want someone who's part of it to say, hey, do you really need to go get a wristband?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a couple of places we were out on our trip, you had to put a thing on your jacket or sweater or whatever, and otherwise you're not getting in, and you've got to wear it all the time or you're gonna be asked to leave.
Yeah, sticker might be a good way to go,
I was
and
gonna
they're
say,
cheap.
And they do stick even on sweaters and jackets.
That's a good idea. That is a good idea, yeah. The mural dedication, I felt, went really well. I think it was very well received. I know it was in the Macomb Daily. I contacted them to get a copy of, there was an edition done where it was on the front page, but it was some type of a special edition of the paper, so I contacted them. I'm waiting for them to send it to me. I did thank you letters for Harvest Days, sent those all out. Met with Lisa regarding the lights. They're gonna be installed on November the 9th. Talked with Matt about our Christmas ornaments, the big ornaments that hang on the post. He says look pretty worn, and I agree with him. I went down and looked at them, and they do look pretty, you know, they don't look the greatest. And he had said we otherwise needed to purchase replacement light bulbs, white ones, which would have been about 4,000 light bulbs at about $4,000, or consider replacing those decorations. I know we had talked about it. If we need to replace the decorations, I talked to Zach about it a little bit too. I thought it would be rather silly to spend $4,000 on light bulbs, and I think you and I discussed this and both agreed that it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend $4,000 on light bulbs if we need to replace the actual decorations themselves. And we've been talking about it for a while now, so we've got some catalogs and
Something we're gonna have to put on the radar
for next year.
next season, when we start budgeting.
he's gonna we get away with using them for more, for
I
this
told him,
season.
yeah, he's gonna use them. They already picked them up today, so
Okay.
they've been picked up today. They're gonna use them this season.
Because I think for where the really rusty ones are, he could probably just get some white Rust-Oleum paint if you authorize him. If he had to touch them up, well, they could just spray those, knowing that it doesn't have to be a permanent fix. But once they're up and it's dark,
You don't
Yeah,
see it,
yeah, you don't notice them very
And the
much.
greenery kind
Kind of hides it a little bit. They also said that we needed 20 white strands and 20 red strands. Got quotes, I took them to Zach. He approved the less of the two, correct?
Yes,
How much were
the
they?
cheaper of the two. They're
It
both
was
from out of state, 734 something, I believe.
734 and some change for 48 strands of 70 lights. I think they're like 23 or 25 feet long.
Yeah, it was about $100 less than the other quote we got.
$20 a strand, something like that.
Yeah,
No.
roughly.
Looks like roughly between 13 and 15, depending on what they were. It's like a 70 count strand.
This is a commercial grade?
Yep.
You want it?
I'm just curious, I've been
Yeah, I
trying
don't
to
know,
get.
yeah, and I don't know the specifics on a lot of those. There were two different quotes that we received, both were out-of-state vendors, and that was the cheaper of the two, and they were able to ship out Friday.
Yeah, they'll be
Right.
at the office on Wednesday.
Curious,
So we're dropping them on
did
Wednesday.
anyone give us, and it's only for my own particular, because I've been trying to get lights for our building, and I'm not being very successful about it. These are commercial grade, they last for X number of years. Did anyone give us an idea for the yearly? No.
How many hours
How
they're
many
supposed to
hours?
last,
No,
right?
but I'm
How many
sure
feet?
Depends on if you
I'm
put them
sure
on
it
24
counts,
hours, or
yeah.
from dusk to dawn, or.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, no.
I can send you the, I can
Do you have a
email you
catalog,
both
or-
of them. Well, they're sending me, the one place is sending me a catalog, and the other one is an online catalog. I'll just forward you the emails.
Okay,
What I'll
I'm
do.
leaving Wednesday, but I just,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, they say, I mean, you know, when you look at them all, they're all pretty comparable. You know, there's just who could get them here the quickest and who could, you know, what was their pricing.
Matt puts these all up.
Yep. Mhm.
Did we get, I know you and Kathy have talked. Is anyone else putting lights on their buildings?
Not as of yet, no. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Not as of
I just
yet.
haven't been able to get an electrician to give me a bid on it.
Yeah, Matt's the one who's done
It
them
might
for us
be-
all this time.
Might be something that if you pulled everybody together, it'd be a more attractive bid for somebody to
Mhm.
do to, hit 5 buildings instead of just everyone individually. You know what I mean?
Who's the contractor that did rustics in
I don't
the
know.
water treatment place?
I don't know. who
Yeah,
did
but I
it.
don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, you don't have to have it look the same, but I'm just saying that contractor did it, and I don't know who that is, so if you just want them, a different configuration or around your windows or whatever it is, I'm sure they'll do that too,
Well,
but I don't know who they are.
Rothorn was in Rochester for 10 days with God knows how many dozens of people. I mean, I have no concept at all of how much money they're spending to get that stuff put up and taken down. It's
I
got-
believe it's just under $1 million when I checked.
Yeah, it sounds right, I mean, because they
It was
had,
it
would
was
say
a
I saw
shocking
6 or
number.
8 trucks there.
Yeah.
Get the same number of those $500 or $1,000 a day high-lows, and 3 and 4 electricians around each one, and I'm thinking, good God, you're looking at, $400 an hour
Mhm.
Right.
for weeks
And they
here in-
fundraise though. They have specific fundraisers for that.
Really?
Mhm. They have the, what do they call it? Something about the tree of lights, and then
Yep,
all
they
the
have that.
businesses donate a tree, and then they auction them off. They have a dinner, sell
Mhm.
tickets. They raise money. They don't.
Yeah.
That just doesn't come straight out of their
No,
tills.
and then they have 2 funding
Committees.
sources, yeah.
Megan, didn't you and Lisa last year look at something with the lights? I don't want to get into the specifics. It wasn't like what Rustic Bluebird was doing. It wasn't but it was
Yeah.
more.
We didn't get
yeah.
very far.
Okay.
Collaborating and trying to get everybody on the same page or even somewhere at the same time to talk is just near
You're
impossible.
talking about for the business owners
Yeah.
or the, okay.
And even then, it's not even about the business owners. You guys start at the top with the building owners.
Right.
And then go to the business owners. And it was,
Yeah.
with the amount of time that we have, plus the harvest days, we couldn't do it.
Okay.
You have to start in June.
You
No,
have to start
Well,
before that.
no, January.
I think we have to start
January.
now.
No, that wasn't intended as a joke either.
I know.
Yeah. I think we'd actually have to
We
start now.
what
start, we
they
start
say for
harvesting
the-
in February.
Mhm.
Well, there's only two
Thanksgiving parade is
property
the
owners on
day
our side of the
after.
street.
That's true, well,
Yes.
Christmas
this
parade.
is her, like I said.
Call Kelly.
Yeah.
This is,
Don't, she's not volunteering for anything.
I must know.
No, if someone wanted to help, if we could get some kind of committee, if we could get
Right.
more people, I
Well-
think we could get somewhere. There is definitely a want, there is a need. We just can't do it.
Well, that's something to, now's the time to talk about it, because obviously not for this year, but for next year, to have that committee in place, if somebody wants to, maybe if, now with Tom too, I'm already volunteering you for committees, but, but I'm saying there's some new,
Yeah.
some new
But
blood.
not even
Yeah,
just
we
us,
have
I mean,
joined
we
the
can
board,
pull
and I
people
was
from
just
the
gonna sit here and
community.
listen all night.
The biggest bite the bullet, oh my God, cost is going to be to get the wiring in place the first time.
Right, that tension wire, top and bottom.
And you're, even if you're just putting a strand of lights around the building, which is what I've been talking with Kathy
Just to
about.
make it look like an old-fashioned village.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's- we
It's
talked
still,
about doing the trim
you're
lines,
still
doing
getting
the
an
windows.
electrician out there with a high-low to put the pipe up, and it's just, you go, huh? All I just wanna do is put a plug up there. Well, it's not that simple, you can't
It's
just.
$600 for
I know.
a plug.
So let's,
Oh,
these are all
no,
things
you're
that we
getting-
can
you're
explore.
I'm
off
being
by zero.
lowballing it.
These are all things we can explore once we kind of get it to the committee level and start looking at some of those options and, you know, getting the ideas out there and bringing it to the
Do we
board,
have
so.
pictures of concepts you guys are thinking about, or?
No, this is,
you
well, this
go
was
to?
something very, this was
Yeah.
very,
We have very basic
early
pictures that we made.
stages,
Yeah.
of just like.
But I
She
mean-
made good pictures.
I mean, imagery on YouTube or something that could give me an idea what you're thinking about.
The outlining the building's roof lines with the lights.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
like the roof lines.
And each building owner would then be
Windows.
responsible to do that?
I don't, that's where.
Right.
And that's
And
where it all
then some
breaks
building
down.
owners are like, you're not putting anything on my
We
building,
didn't-
and you're gonna
Yeah.
screw
Yeah,
what,
you could
where,
start
and,
that.
right,
And if
that's
it's
just.
just sporadic, it doesn't really.
And then we even
Plus
thought
the
about
windows.
stringing
Just
side
the
to
windows
side.
in the barn.
Port Huron does a really good job, and they actually
Okay,
keep theirs
there's
up
some
all
conduit
year.
run.
But again, still,
Yeah.
you need permission to be
But-
on their roofs and
But
to
again,
tie into their
not much
roofs.
less.
Across the street. And the
Huh?
secondary
Over the
issue
street.
then
Yeah,
is getting someone
across,
to put
yeah.
the leaping lights up every year.
It just.
So-
You're getting into some
Yeah,
serious.
we can bring it back around.
And you and I ain't
You guys,
classing
if anybody wants to get a subcommittee
No
going.
shit. When did you find that out?
Put it back on in January.
You
Yeah.
haven't seen me on one of these.
Right.
It's going to committee anyway. So I talked with Tim about banners. We've got 30 at the DPW right now. I talked with Amy. She says she's got like 30 more coming. So,
Not if she doesn't get me the artwork.
well, I mean, because when I was at the DPW, you know, Tim said, "When are we hanging banners?" I said, "Well, there's supposed to be more coming, but I can't give you a day and a time." I emailed her. She said, "Well, they're, you know, coming." I said, "Well, you need to let me know because these guys need to know. You know, we've got to know." So,
I don't even have the artwork yet.
okay.
So-
So if they've got
It's a
30, then
while.
they've got 30.
We also
Right.
need to look at Harvest Day banners for next year.
We do
Yeah, the
need-
new street banner.
Yeah,
The new street
yes,
banner.
we definitely need to.
But I think, I had a conversation with Tim, and there's, you know, a problem. I don't know if it's just the age of the brackets of the poles, you know, they're slipping down. I think they're just too big. I think to leave them up for the length of time that we leave them up, just because, you know, it's a span and it's a process to get them up and get them down. I think if we're going to order new banners, we probably need to change the size.
Has anyone been through Clausen and seen how they do the banners? They have one big banner that goes across the whole street, and it's like perforated, or not just big holes, but it's all like mesh.
Right.
And the letters all slide through there, or however they attach the letters.
Mm.
And it's great. It never seems to move. It's always there. It's huge. It's super easy to read as you go through.
I'll have to take a look at that. Can't say that
I go by
I've
there all the
seen
time. I can take a picture and bring
Yeah,
it
that'd
next
be
time or
great.
something.
Right.
Instead of on individual poles?
No, it's on just like our signs are. Pole on
You're
either
talking
side of
about
the
the
street.
over
talking
the
over
street.
Those are the
Yeah,
street
okay,
ones.
big one.
Oh, is that what you're
She's
talking
talking
about?
about the banners.
I'm talking about the
Banners
banners
on
on the
poles.
light poles.
Oh.
The individual ones. But the banner that's for bike night, I had made that way.
It's a mesh one.
It's a
yes.
mesh
Yes.
banner, and
Okay.
it has
Doesn't
wind
catch the
slits
wind.
cut
Okay.
through it so that the air isn't, you know, as restricted. And that's probably why it doesn't, it
Okay.
doesn't move or sag. It's a little more expensive than just 15-ounce vinyl, but.
And the only downside is too, it's not quite as vibrant as it would be if
How
you were
old are
doing
the
it on a.
brackets that we're talking about?
I know that Amy bought some brackets
2
2 years
two
ago,
years ago,
yeah.
right, when we did the large group
We
of
paid
banners,
for it.
and we did, what, 120 or 140 of them.
140.
But the brackets are still usable. It's just, you can't move the brackets and then get them positioned for a smaller banner and then move the brackets again if you're gonna put the big banners back up. It's like, we have to commit that we're just gonna switch
Put a
sizes
size banner
or
up.
not,
Okay.
right? Or we might have to just go to one banner a light post.
Well, how many light poles do we have in town? I guess I'm gonna have to
Just
start
under
paying
100.
attention.
Right.
Just
It's
under
like
100.
98.
And
98.
what's wrong with every other pole
So
and
what-
then maybe something else there?
So what happened when we first started the whole banner process was, the high school thought, why don't we have them on every pole? And then it was, well, because we have to put flowers on, so we have to go every other. And then it was, well, then we're not.
So that's the way we have it now, right?
So they
Every
said,
other.
well, then we won't do it again. It's not worth it for us to go through all of this to only have 30 banners up. So then we said, okay, well, what can we do? We want to keep it. And then it came, okay, well, then we'll put more in the parks, like in the parking lots and stuff like that, and we'll make them more prominent. And then I think last year is when Amy came up with, well, let's double them, because then it was, we had to take some down for Peach Fest to
2
put up
years ago.
Peach Fest ones, and then parents were getting upset, well, how come my kids came down, but not everybody? So we said, we'll double them, and then we'll just leave the one side for Peach Fest and one side for,
And I
It's
think
just
once,
gotten
I think
so
once
much.
once the current ones that are in place are no longer in place, I think we have to revisit that, and because I feel like it's just too much. I
Right.
feel like it.
So if we're gonna remake them, then I would suggest that we switch. Well, one, I said to her, I think we should make them double-sided. If you have that many kids' pieces of art, instead of just making, the same kid on both
Right.
sides, literally put one on
There
one
you go.
side, one on the
Just
other
don't
side,
give
so you
for
can
the
still
same
have the
cost.
same amount of
you'll
Then
have
you
to
can't
print,
give the banner to the
participate.
kid.
you'll have to double print them off so that each kid can have one.
Right, but it's cheaper because you can only do them one-sided and then they're sewn together. So that's how they get sewn with one rod pocket, and so you
Okay.
could still cut them, and you cut off the pocket,
Give it to each.
and then the pole.
So each kid can still get his,
They can still get their banner,
Her-
yep,
it's,
indeed.
Okay.
You're right, it's just all in the production and the forethought of it. But I don't know how many banners we have at the DPW that are in that good of a shape that we say, well, we can't switch now because, we just invested all this money and, because Harvest Days are bad, St. Baldrick's are bad, Peach Fest,
Need new
they've
ones.
seen
It's
their,
going to be updated.
right,
Yeah.
I don't,
Anybody's that aren't ours, I don't think we would be updating, like, why, we wouldn't update St. Baldrick's, it's not our banner.
Correct. We wouldn't pay
no,
for it,
but St. Baldrick's is gonna do new banners, and so if we're gonna change the size, I would just wanna communicate that to them, to say, hey, we're gonna, be going to a
Same
new
thing with the
size.
Lions.
Right, anybody.
Well, as a DDA, you can dictate that, basically. I don't mean to sound harsh, but, I mean, it is
Right.
what we're responsible for.
Right.
It does advertise their business, so,
Sure. Yeah, that's the only cost they have associated with putting up those banners would be to replace them when need be. And I don't think anybody has replaced their own inventory recently enough to where they'd be like, oh, well, we just got new
Yeah,
banners, you know what I
no.
mean? So I think that would be
And
the
they
time
only
to do
need
it.
like, what, 8?
Yeah, it's
So
not
even if
as
everybody
long
likes
as
the
it-
same height of the banner, you can still do the same height, but we don't have to make them as wide. So instead of 3 feet wide, we can just make them 2 feet wide. That wouldn't require moving the
Bracket.
the
The-
brackets,
yeah, up and
we would
down.
just have to get different poles. Because right now, those poles, some of the ones that Amy ordered stick out,
Yeah.
which I've had some complaints in the village hall that people bonk their head on them.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Okay.
you were still in the middle of your report.
That's okay.
Yes, we got
That's
sidetracked
okay,
on
that's all right.
banners.
That's all right, because it's something that needs to be looked at. I need to go down there and throw out what's not good. I mean, there's some that just simply are not good and just need to be thrown away. Tim and those guys should not have to try and find what they're looking for buried in all of that. So I'm not gonna say I'm gonna do it this winter, because it does get kinda cold in that building. But anyway, so there were some missing boards for the benches. I went down there, we counted them. They've already sent the new boards, so they're already here. They said if we had any other issues, just call them and let them know. And
I had a
It'll be
request from Jeff Hop, who wants to know is anybody keeping the wood from the existing benches? He would like it if we were just going to dispose of it. He said it's a particular type of wood, and he can repurpose that into some of his projects. And I said, I have no idea what we were doing with it,
I-
but
You had said some of the benches
Some
thought
of
about
the-
going to the cemetery, but other than that, well, with the rest of them, I have no idea.
Well, there's a few people who have contacted us and they wanna buy the benches, but I told them, you know, you've gotta wait till we get the other ones in and then,
that's fair
Well, and we
enough.
wanted
know.
to offer it to the families, anyone, I mean, we're not gonna personally find them, but we're gonna put it out there. These are your benches that you donated, you can have them, you get them back if you would like them. And then after that,
You talk, well, there's lots and lots of them have the plaque
yes,
on,
but I'm
right?
not going around and contacting and figuring out,
You're not
Who's the
gonna put
next
the
of
plaques
kin?
back up?
no, I don't think so.
But before, if they get taken down and there's wood left over, he would like it, so just know that instead of throwing it in a dumpster somewhere, if they can be repurposed, I told them I would let them know.
Those people all paid serious money to get those things done. I would think we would try as much as we did for Mrs. Collins to,
Yeah, I
get the
agree
plaques,
with,
but
I gotta agree with Bill on that one. I thought we did discuss, I know there weren't, spots for the plaques,
Yeah,
but I
there's
thought
not.
we did talk about, cause even like, I think, you know, Jay Foltz, he had mentioned that, you know, his family donated one of the benches, and some of them may just say, well, yeah, if we can take the bench, great, cause I mean, I'm sure he'd like to have it at,
And some of
His
them have
house
fallen off, and I would
downtown,
have
some
no
of them-
idea who that bench belongs to.
I'm just thinking, I know there's one in front of the, right next to the office in front of the Coney Island, and that guy only died a couple of years
Yeah,
ago,
it's
so the
very
bench has gotta
recent.
be new. I mean, Carl only died a couple of years ago.
that was the one I had mentioned before, that would probably be
It
an issue.
doesn't look new. If we go look
I'm
at
sorry,
the bench.
it's new, he only died 2 years ago.
I don't know, if you guys wanna put them back on, put them back on. You have, well, to drill holes and, or do you wanna buy all new nameplates and get different ones? I
I
don't
think
know.
we can make the ones work. I think we can make the existing ones work.
How are they attached now?
I think
They're
there's like
literally
a,
just
Glued.
screwed on or
I think
bolted
there's-
on?
They're glued
they're
in.
glued.
Yeah, because the two in front of our building fall out all the time, and I've glued them back in a couple times.
Right, because you'd have to have some sort of
Just-
receptacle routed into the new bench backs for them to adhere to.
What are you gluing on with? It's probably the dumbest question I've ever asked you.
Really?
Just like a, what do you call it?
Liquid
A
nails?
resin or
Yeah.
epoxy or
Okay.
something?
I just use that, it's called instant contact or something, instant grab. It lasts for a winter or two and then it falls out.
I just didn't know. Curious.
Well, you know, you could go solicit Clark Bill. You know Bill. Okay,
Mhm.
and I bet Bill would do a quick machine for you, cause he loves the downtown. And he could probably put a couple tap holes in there, and not, you wouldn't have to have a mechanical insert necessarily.
Yeah, but are those solid or are they hollow plastic?
No, they're solid.
Yeah,
solid.
okay.
And I don't
Right.
know if we do something, if that will void any warranty on that board.
Well, that's not gonna do anything that could damage, those things are designed to hold a body weight.
Talking about the top of the board.
Yeah, so that's
They're
designed to
it's
hold
the
body
least-
weight, that's not gonna,
But
that's
I
not
don't know.
gonna.
I think
There's
just
a
more
warranty
if
for
if water
warping,
gets,
too,
if
so
water
they
gets into
were to
it as a
warp-
result
Well,
of
if they're,
drilling
they're
the-
not wood though,
They're not,
right?
they're not wood.
No, they're
I
composite.
know, but still, I mean, it's,
If
she's
they're-
just, all she's talking about is a warranty. I mean, she's
Yeah,
talking
it
about
would be
voiding a
it'd be
warranty.
worthy of checking,
I don't think it's
but
gonna be an issue,
composite
but-
is not,
No, you
that's
can
just
always
like the
buy more
deck wood that
slats.
they're putting on
Like, I
decks
know.
now. The deck composite.
I just know people paid money for it, that's,
Right.
I hear you.
okay.
Do it. Go around and collect them all.
One of the benches coming in,
They're
Yeah,
in,
they're
they just
here.
have to be,
and one of the
here.
installation gonna take
In the
place?
spring.
not until spring.
We can do that, Tom. Couple of those screw guns.
I'm relatively mechanical, as we both know, so yeah, I think I can do
You talk
that.
about inept, and we need 2 screws for each one. Run a brass screw in there, and
Yeah. Let me
It
look at it.
can't be that
Let- no,
difficult.
well, let me
Yeah,
look
but
at
they're like a quarter inch, a little more thick, so if you put that flat on the thing, it's gonna.
yeah, but anyone with a
Rip
drill
apart.
press and a steel drill, it's zip and you're done, zipping.
Yeah,
You
those
just have to
could be
take the
checked
blacks
out
there and
real
have them
quick.
drilled through.
Why don't you
No,
and
no,
I,
I'm not
Carl,
saying
why
about
don't I
drilling a
come
hole
by?
in them.
Why
I'm
don't
just
I
saying-
come by and look at what you've got
Sure,
falling off?
but
Put them on
they're
the back.
flush on the ones now, so
Right,
you don't
that's
rip
what I
your
was
coat
just
on
thinking.
them.
Put them on the
Like if I sat on
backside.
this and I slid across, I'd rip my coat on it. Follow what I'm saying?
Oh,
You can put them on the back. And they won't be centered because now we have that center divider. So you'd have to pick a side and keep the same consistent side on all of them.
Okay.
Well, look at it.
look at it. Lisa's still struggling to get through.
It's all right,
Come on,
it's all right.
fight through, kid.
I revised the flower water, fall lighting, winter lighting, they're posted on the website for bids, so just waiting to hear, I got it where they need to deliver them to us by the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and we'll open them here at the meeting on the 2nd.
And then that, the movies in the park, we actually had a
Oh.
good turnout for that, the
24th.
24th. So the kids' movie was a better turnout than the adult movie, but with, I think with such short notice and what little advertising, we had,
And cold.
the weather was actually not terrible. It wasn't freezing. It was comfortable, but I think there was at least 6 or 7 families with
Oh, at
multiple
least, yeah.
kids out there, so
Yeah.
it was fun. I think if we build on that and get a head start next time and do every October Thursday movie night in the park with some sort of Halloween themed movie, we build off the Tilson thing and we bring people into town. So I think that's something to keep our eye on for next fall. I think it's a good event.
Just kids' movies, you think?
Never good.
Or it's something, I think, you know, you do something where it's like the Charlie Brown one like we did, and then like Hocus Pocus or something that's a little
Okay.
more like PG,
Okay.
maybe PG-13.
It's too scary for me.
It's all right, you can close your eyes.
Yeah, the black and white Boris Karloff in the park was pretty scary.
Lisa, real quick on the wood, you said you had other people that were interested in the wood for repurposing?
No, they're interested in the benches. There's
The
some
benches
people, yeah,
themselves.
some of the people
Christina
that,
mentioned
yeah.
repurposing.
Repurposing the wood is what Christine. Yeah.
Okay, that was, yeah, because I was thinking if that was multiple people that were interested in the wood, then, you know, as I recall, we used to do a closed bid type system. And
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think if it comes down to that,
Yeah.
that's.
generate a little revenue.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I did write a snow removal bid, but I'm not sure, I mean, I know where it was written for before, I've talked to Zach a little bit, and I don't know exactly where to write the bid for, and I don't wanna send out something that's gonna get bids back and then it's not something that we really want. It doesn't make sense. I did get a bid for the whole sidewalk between the storefronts and
The gutter,
the curb.
Right.
Okay, to do north and south Main Street and east and west St. Clair for the year, because they don't like doing per push, is $24,200. Is what that is. But that's just one, and again,
Well,
I
did we
wrote
send
it.
it out? Did we send it out for bid?
I did not send it out for bid because there needs to be some specifics, because I don't know if we're going from the front of the building to where the benches, the lights, and the trash cans are, or if we're going, the bid that I wrote was for where the benches, lights, and the trash cans are, which is where everything gets piled up, and which is where the building owners, from my understanding, are not responsible for. So
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think it matters what you're responsible for or not, because if it's not plowed, it's not pedestrian friendly.
Right.
So people are doing, you don't, when you're doing your sidewalk, you don't stop at a certain point because you're not responsible for it. You do the whole thing because.
Oh, yes, I do.
You do the whole thing because that's the only way, but the issue that we're having, and I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself, but if every other business is shoveling their front walkway, then you either are in a situation where your customers have to walk through it anyway, or you have to go ahead and do your neighbor's sidewalk every time it snows, and, you know, it's,
Takes you 5 minutes.
no, there's.
It depends on the snow.
It doesn't take 5 minutes, I can assure you
Carol?
that.
Tom and I are as good at shoveling snow as you are.
I
Yeah,
hire out.
you hear me.
I pay for it.
That's right, so do I.
Well, are we talking about this now, or do we wanna wait till like gets to
And
that
I
item?
don't
let's-
see if,
Yeah, we can
okay.
wait until it gets
Didn't
down
know.
there.
part of the
I have some
DDA
thoughts.
district gets it, the whole DDA district should get it.
Well,
We can't play that game.
you gotta have,
Right.
you gotta have an
Because we don't put
RFQ that's
anything
got
else.
a perfect plan of what's gonna be done.
Right.
Otherwise, the quotes are gonna be all over the place. And they're gonna be questioning the hell out of
That's
you,
exactly
trying
what
to spend
she's
time to
saying.
figure out what it
And
is.
on North Main Street, on the
Yeah.
east side, you're dealing with a substantial amount of private property that appears to be public property. flat statement, because both of us know that.
Yeah, my sidewalk becomes an issue, that's why I got that piece of fence there, depending on what's going on in town.
What looks like.
Most people are gracious, some people are not, the photographers are the biggest problem.
What looks like public sidewalk is actually private sidewalk, it'll be
Right.
privately paid for.
Yeah.
But it's all blended together, but no, the public sidewalk's only 6 feet wide, and yeah, that's back 10. So the last 4 feet, we ended up paying for ourselves.
So then you get into a,
I pay for all of it, so
No, I'm just talking about the sidewalk itself.
Yeah.
I pay for the goat trail and everything.
so let me ask you this, do you get into a situation where you start ticketing people for not shoveling?
Well, that's what the ordinance,
I
24
don't know,
hours.
'cause I don't,
We do to the people, all the residents.
Right.
Yeah, but nobody.
but who's
enforces
gonna police, I mean, that, I agree with that, but who's gonna police it? I mean, is every business owner gonna call and say, hey, my neighbor hasn't shoveled their snow?
I don't think it's the business owner, I don't think it's the neighbor's responsibility to
No, but
report it.
if it starts snowing at 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it dumps, I would never do it, 10 inches before 3 and the cafe doesn't have theirs shoveled, it's not your responsibility to go shovel it, but for people to get to you, they need to walk through there. So do you call the village or who do you call and say, hey, come shovel this?
Yeah,
So.
Right, I mean, so if
Call the
24
building
hours
owner.
later, if they haven't done it, who's gonna make the call? Are you gonna call, or is somebody else gonna call? I mean.
No, because I don't think
Private
you're,
contractors have written in there that they are not responsible for anything under 2
Under,
inches.
right, exactly,
They
and that's
come
what I
out-
wrote.
They come out at 2 inches, and that's their call.
Mhm,
And if they say that is not quite 2 inches, they don't come up.
mhm,
And if they say that's, never mind. But it's,
right.
that's how the contracts are written, because I
Yeah.
have signed them, and
Yep,
they only come out at 2 inches.
mhm,
Everything else is, well, it'll melt, don't worry about it.
And just because we get the phone call, that phone call then generates either a visit by the code enforcement officer, knock on the door, you get no answer, then you send a letter, right? Takes 2 or 3 days for the letter to get there. And then by that time, right, then it's either melted or it's become literally a pile of ice.
right,
And so it's just this sort of, I think, unenforceable situation that with the conditions of the weather, with the snow, is it on a weekend, right? Is it, it snows Friday night, so then, you got Saturday, you got Sunday, you show up to work on Monday, you wouldn't expect it to be cleared and it's not, and then what do you do? And
And
like
on
Lisa
St.
said, it's,
Clair's- And on St. Clair Street, the sprayed slop from the street actually is a bigger problem than the snow itself,
Yes.
because everybody just sprays it against the buildings.
right.
Well, the county trucks,
Yes, I
Are the
know, I've been
worst.
sprayed by them. It's-
I saw them knock over one of the big garbage cans.
Christie, could the village send
front of
out
your
a
buildings,
reminder
yeah.
notice to the building owners that there
They
is
do
an
every year.
ordinance in place?
yep, they do every year.
Could you send them bills?
It's a
Do
standard
it and
letter.
send them a bill.
Well, you can do that, and that's what I said to Lisa, then that requires an ordinance change. If you want to do that, then we have to draft an ordinance and have it looked at by legal to say, if you have 24 hours, if you do not do it, we do not have to serve you notice. We will have the work completed and then we will invoice you. It still becomes an enforcement issue, because then at what point do you know, on your watch that your neighbor did or did not come and shovel? I mean, it's usually
Right.
pretty evident, but I don't know. Can you say that,
And on St. Clair Street, how the hell could you tell with all the slop being sprayed on the?
Right.
Right.
so
You
the
can just get done
easiest
shoveling
fix
it
is to
and-
have one contractor who you're paying to just take care of it, right? And then it's, it's a call from whoever, Lisa, you, the village hall,
Lisa, is this the reason you gave up on this?
There's so many
I
different
haven't
scenarios.
given up on it, I
that-
just don't know what scenario to write it for.
Right.
Do I
And then we
Do I
have
include
two-
everybody in the DDA district? Do I do East
You
and West
have
St.
to.
Clair? What do I do?
No,
Right.
we don't have to.
You can't discriminate.
Yes,
You're
we
not
can.
Well, you're not
You're
discriminating.
not discriminating, you're making a decision
Why, there's
about where to spend the money.
businesses on Rowles, there's businesses on Lafayette, there's businesses On Washington?
When you can bluntly say that the cost is gonna double and no, we can't afford it.
Right, you can look at, okay, what, if you send out an RFP to include the entire central business district, because I had this conversation with a few people, and you say it comes back at $60,000, just picking that out. It's got the 25,000 is what she's already got, so you're gonna do the whole thing. At what point does it become a value to the business owner? You pay for contract snow removal. I don't know what you pay per season. So if you were to break that down over every business, and I don't care if you're an office on the second floor or you're the first floor retail, whoever's, you know, designated as a business owner in town is gonna share in that cost. So we're just gonna blanket some sort of assessment, special assessment district, and we're gonna say each business owner is gonna be invoiced or put on their
$1,000 a
taxes
year.
for, I mean, I don't know what that dollar figure is where it tips it like, well, I'm not doing that, versus, well, if it's $200, oh, I'm in for that, cause I'm not gonna bust my butt
For
for
the season.
$200. I don't know what that cost factor is when you just say it's worth it or it's not worth it. Having your own contractor is the only way to guarantee that it's gonna be done in a timely manner of what you're all talking you want.
Well, Randy mentioned this years ago. He said, go buy a gator with a plow on it and get one guy who every time it snows is going to go up and down every street, and you pay. It might take him 8 hours, but if you take it,
It doesn't, it's not possible. Well, you're talking about for the whole town.
I'm talking about for the whole.
Okay.
Do it for the or for
But
the
you
whole
can't do it for the whole
CBD
town because the damn sidewalks are so bad.
We'll do it, but do it for the whole CBD, and then he hits every single spot. You made the investment in the gator. You've got yourself. You know, you're not going to be at the mercy of a contractor who may or may not show up. They're starting and they're finishing from.
Are we getting into, you know, violating the union contract for municipal employees?
That I don't.
I don't know, I'm just pointing out, you're really
But
talking
they're
about a
not- but they're not doing
DPW
it.
job that the union's gonna say, pardon me, that's a DPW job.
But they're not doing it.
Well, they are, they're just not doing it under your time frame, right? They do come and remove all that snow from the central business district, but it
From the sidewalk?
Yep, it typically takes them, well,
No, the
No, they
gold.
take it off the curb.
If it's out
No.
the curb, maybe, but they don't do the sidewalks.
They do it up to the benches.
Yes, the benches, the
Like where?
garbage can, that edge.
I've never seen it.
But most of it's
sorry.
already pushed
It's
into the
already-
street.
right,
Yeah.
most of the business owners or property owners are responsible enough to do it. There probably is maybe 5 or 6 that don't.
In the 50 years I've been down there, I've never seen a DPW person shoveling
And
any
then-
of my sidewalks.
And then they take everything from the street.
No, I'm not saying that they
shove it
shovel the
and-
sidewalks, they have a snow blower, and then they come with the backhoe, and they physically remove the snow
They go down.
that us
Yeah, when it gets
business owners have pushed down to the curb. Because we can't push it in the street, and if you push it in the street, you can throw it back up on the sidewalk anyway, so we learned to just sort of make piles
We push it
sporadically.
into the street,
Yeah,
that's the reason it splashes back up, but.
right. I mean, it creates that goat path, you know, issue, but usually within, I think, 3 days that they've come with the backhoe. It's the last on the priority list for them to come and remove that.
But it might be cheaper to hire one part-time DPW person to do that and buy the gator.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what Randy had suggested, it's not a bad idea either.
Probably not.
Especially if you're talking about if you're talking about those kind of
Right,
costs.
probably. not.
There's also $1 million
Right.
elephant in the room right now, and we're not gonna know how that's gonna play out over the next 2 or 3 years. The village is going to have some financial issues.
Yes.
So until then, just shovel your sidewalks, people. Come on. All right,
Okay.
it's a simple solution. Let's move on.
She's not done yet.
Oh yeah, but you know what? We knocked another
We
line
knocked
item
it
off
off,
the
yeah, so.
under new business. So
You didn't talk about the kickoff campaign.
For, Chris,
Are you gonna cover that?
let me finish my.
Yeah,
let
I was
me-
gonna
let
say,
me-
what,
let me-
I'm
okay.
sort of all over the place.
The last and most exciting thing that happened this week was the shelves got put together at the office at the village hall, and I got to put all the books away and take them all out of the boxes, so there's no more boxes in my office. Thank goodness, except for paper.
Thank you, DPW.
And I wanted to, yes, I will thank the DPW. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody that helped with Harvest Days. You know, there's a whole lot of people in this town that if it wasn't for them, these things wouldn't happen. You know, just everybody from the DDA that helped, you know, Christine, Catherine, Megan, Carol's family, you and Kelly for letting us plug in and use water for the tent, you for the balloons, the River of God, they sent us volunteers, Megan called them, they sent us 10 volunteers, it was fantastic this year. The Bruce Romeo Fire Department, they put up our banner, they took it back down. They were there with the fire trucks, they were there with the ambulance. The kids always love it, it's great. The Masonic Temple always donates the space for us to have the shows. Bill Miller always does the clock tower tours, which are a great thing. The Congregational Church. Starkweather does stuff. Debbie at Two Romeo Girls, can't thank her enough. That's a year-long project to do those scarecrows. I mean, she starts sewing heads probably right after.
Shopping for clothes.
And shopping for clothes. And let me tell you, I shopped for clothes this year, and that's not an easy task because you're trying to be thrifty and you're trying to spend. So you're looking at every Salvation Army with a 50% off sale, you know, and you're grabbing everything that you can get your hands on, and it's a task. It is a task.
Have you thought about contacting the Salvation Army to place a blanket bid?
No, I haven't. Didn't even think about that, but that's a good
I mean,
idea.
They get tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of clothes, most of which just get sent off to a rag merchant.
Yeah, like I said, it takes some time, but that is a good idea. I will contact them and see what they say. You know, we have people that donate straws. She has donated candy. The lady at the cake decorating supply, she gives us caramel apple sticks. The library, they do caramel apples with these kids and they carve pumpkins.
They were walking around eating them. I'm like, hey, where'd
Yeah.
you get that?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I was in the library, I think the day before Harvest Days, and and Stacy was there, and she's got all these pumpkins, and she's got
They gut
pumpkin
'em.
goo all over the
They
place.
pre-gut them.
Yeah, they pre-gut them for these kids, and it's just, there's a lot of people in this town, like I said, that if it wasn't for them, these kinds of things wouldn't happen. You know, I provided you a list of what the costs were, how much we gathered in donations, what it broke down to. The total cost for the DDA was $6,156.40. So we're over, but
Just $1,000.
I was hoping for a little bit more money, but we did gather more money this year than we did last year. So every year, I did talk with, Megan was there when I was talking to to Richard Paul about the lady who, she will help with finding sponsors, and she takes a portion of the money that she gets the sponsors to donate is how she is paid. So it might be worth talking to her, and spending a little bit of time with her. Maybe she can.
Now, would that be beyond our existing sponsors? She wouldn't get a portion of what?
No, she wouldn't get a portion of the ones that we already have, but anybody that was new that she went out and actually found. And like I said, I reached out to, I want to say there was Christian Financial Credit Union and also Citizens, or maybe it's Citizens Bank or something, and they are both interested in donating next year too. And they're not even in our community. I mean, we are getting stuff like last couple of years we've gotten, it's not a huge sponsorship, but money from the Clinton Township Optimist Club. I always try and do stuff for kids. So I'm making more connections and hoping, that maybe the more connections we can make, and if we can work with this lady, maybe we can raise some more money. But all in all, I think Harvest Days went really well. Again, thank you, Carol, Megan, Christine, Catherine, Carl, Ted. I mean, without all you guys, it wouldn't happen. And I gotta tell you, I was really glad when Sunday morning came.
It was cold.
It was cold.
Yes, it was.
Windy.
It was,
It
yeah.
wasn't cold, it was windy.
It was windy, yeah. It was windy, but it was a good day. Lots of happy little kids.
Yeah, the rain held off for the most of it.
And they loved the goodie bags.
Oh my, yeah.
That was a big hit.
Yeah, there was people who, I didn't have them at first back in the park, and then when they saw, they were like, hey, can we get one of those? We didn't get one when we got a wristband. I'm like, here you go, everyone wanted them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
So,
so that wraps up the the director report, and we'll go back up to the treasurer's report. Carol,
Okay,
whenever you're ready.
that's in with this, that I gave you, it's, the last two sheets. It'll be this way, landscape. Okay. What we spent, was, this month is $16,593 in the regular checking account. And then we spent $892 in the payroll account. So we need to approve $17,485.15 for money spent this time. We didn't get any money in from any place except for sponsors and wristband sales. So, we paid off our watering contract. We paid off credit card. We paid off, we paid for the Salcedo brothers to be at the dedication. We paid for all the harvest days, entertainment, AT&T bills, and
You need a motion for the 17.
I need a motion.
Carol?
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Motion by Mr. Parker, do we have a second?
I'll support.
Second by President Malzahn. Lisa, can we do a roll call?
Parker,
Yeah.
Malzahn,
Yes.
Humphries,
Yes?
Brandt,
Yes.
Poznanski,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
The other part that I gave you was your, it says, profit and loss budget versus actual. And what that is you were wondering to date, how much we spent in each, budget category. So if you look on this paper, it will tell you that answer. And it'll tell you what we have left and, you know, like what did we spend for flowers and plants so far this year, how much money we brought in. The only thing we've been paid for is Bruce Township, and we have not got our $11,000 payment yet. Usually comes in October. Christine, remind them, please.
I will.
And, well, the big expense was the flowers. And then next coming down, you've got a little bit of advertising. We had Central Business District, that was the $800 we gave to Kelly for Arts and Walk, and $500 we gave to the Historical Society for the Christmas home tour. And then $90 is our chamber membership. We had $14,900 in Harvest Day expenses. And we had $8,744 in money raised for harvest days, so that left us with $61.56. We had a budget of $5, so we're over by $1,100. We have not spent any more in that section. Until we come down to payroll. Payroll, we've only spent $4,600 of the $22,000, so we're good there. The $50 office rent, I forgot what that was for. But Anyway, office supplies were $37. I mean, you see, there's just, we haven't spent that much. Of course, real frugal. I put the clock on Main Street, I had to pay for something, $57. And then the mural, we've spent $582 so far. And then the trash can project, $3,800. And that is it in expenses for this year.
Didn't we authorize 5,000 for the mural? Didn't we authorize 5,000?
Yes, but
Okay, so we're gonna
we
be waiting
haven't-
for a bill.
Yeah,
Okay.
Is that bill coming, or was it really, it didn't end up working?
They're still trying, I think they're still waiting to see if there's, cause I know that, Fort County donated some money.
Uh-huh.
Kiwanis donated some money. I have to get with Grace and talk to her this week and see where we are, because Salcedo's just finished not too long ago putting that seal coat on there.
Right.
So I don't know exactly where we are, and we're still waiting on the plaque to see what the costs are gonna be, so they've just been, taking care of it and then they're just gonna, we're gonna reimburse is how it's gonna work.
So was that, but that was, and I might be mistaken how it played out, but that was when we thought we were gonna have to pay for some of the lift, which we actually ended
Right,
up
we
not
didn't
having
have
to
to.
pay for, and that
Right.
was the big major expense that was gonna come
Right.
up from it, so I think we should be,
I
think
thought we were
should-
pushing it towards that legacy thing.
you don't think we'll hit $5,000?
no, I mean, I wouldn't imagine so.
I don't know if we will or not. I mean, I know you authorized 5
We said,
and
yeah.
500 for the event itself, for the dedication thing.
Okay,
And like I said, I don't know, because I don't know what Salcedo's charged to put that sealer on there. And I'm not sure, but I know that they have gotten some other money, and I'm not sure who all they've gotten some other money for. I haven't really talked to Grace for a couple of weeks, so I don't know. She's had a lot going on with the, so.
okay.
That's all I got. You got questions? I got copies of the bills here, or I got a printout of what's in each category.
So we did budget $20,000 for snow removal then.
Yeah, we did. So if there's a bad storm and it needs to be done, then we can call out somebody then.
How are we gonna authorize that?
Well, we have it in
The-
there's a line
Zach?
budget for it.
I know, but Zach is authorized to contract to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000? How are you gonna do it?
Yeah, we'd have to, because how would you
We're
do that?
not gonna have a special meeting saying, there's snow out there, for Christ's sake. I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to give somebody the authority to spend the money and call somebody.
I don't think we'd do that unless it turned into something that was like a 4-day blizzard or something like that, where it was
Well, then we're
just.
gonna just continue this year the way we were and.
Historically,
carry
we
on.
did it just because if there was an event and there was an unexpected snow emergency, that we would have the funds available and budgeted, so that if we had to call somebody in anticipation, when we used to have Snow Me the Love and we used to have the Victorian days, we've gotten some doozies, snowstorms in April.
Have you ever benchmarked any other communities to ask how they do it? There's plenty of them out there about the same size of us. I mean, if I could call from work during the day, I would, but I could maybe solicit my wife to make a few phone calls to say, what do you guys do?
I proposed to Lisa, I sent her the picture that we just make it like Partridge Creek and just run hot water underneath all of our sidewalks, and then we won't have to shovel. We gotta redo the sidewalks anyways, right, because of the
Hey,
trees
why
and
not?
the brick pavers, maybe go big,
Didn't we talk
right?
about something similar doing the for the watering for the flowers? Do
Yeah.
something.
All the comments about the sidewalks
Tons
in the downtown area, being in Boston and Montreal and 4 other cities last month. We got nothing to bitch about. Period.
That- That bad?
Yeah, I mean, then it's definitions, what do you think is quote unquote bad?
Right.
And what we've been talking about ain't
It's
gonna get
nothing.
anyone's attention anywhere else.
Right.
I mean,
No, that's
just
fair.
plain out, no, period.
I think our complaints are more just on the potential of what could it be? How awesome could it be, right?
Sure.
You look at Traverse City, you look at, Chelsea, you look
Holland.
at Holland, that, yeah.
They got more
And you
money
see-
than us.
Right. It's not realistic in our budget, but it's a, I don't know.
Now, does Rochester have heated sidewalks?
No.
I don't think so.
But they got fancy lights.
I'll go for sparkles.
Right.
And put some glitter in it.
Fairy dust.
All right, are we moving on?
Good? Good, Carol?
I'm done.
All right, thank you. No funding requests, no committee reports, no unfinished business. New business, we talked about the snow removal discussion and realistically, we're better off trying to take it on from a hands-on approach for investing in some sort of equipment. Then maybe Christine, if you could check on Bill's concerns about it kind of being a conflict with, we don't want to step on any toes or cause any issues.
Well, you can shovel my sidewalks, I don't care.
I know you don't care.
And he doesn't care.
It would be a
I
problem
know
with the
he doesn't
unions.
care.
And
It
we're the only
It
private
would.
property owners there, so
It
let's
would.
not get too nervous about it.
Right.
Shoveling sidewalks would be a definite
We have a
problem.
problem with, if a grave has to be dug on Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
So, I know, it's an issue.
What if it
Yeah.
was a volunteer that did it? Was it the same thing, then it's a liability issue?
Well, liability's not a problem because, Catherine has the forms in the office. So if somebody's gonna do that work, we just need them to sign that, or the release form, and then we're covered.
It's taking the work away from them is
Right,
the issue.
it's a union labor issue. So you have to just be careful of that.
Is anyone gonna talk about the kickoff thing, which was basically about the downtown, that you wanted to report on?
Well, I'm assuming we were gonna do it under board member comments because it's not actually on the agenda. So I was just biding my
You're
time.
talking about for the master plan, is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, so we don't really have anything to discuss for snow removal.
Right, but I will try and be more mindful, if you have an issue, if anybody has an issue with the particular property address, whether it's on a residential street or in the central business district, if you just let us know in the village hall, we'll try and, address it promptly,
Okay.
so.
Oh, the people at 121 West St. Clair are kind of mingy with how much snow removal they're doing.
2020 meeting dates, Lisa? Lisa's got it in our packet here. Everything is pretty straightforward. I guess it's up to you guys if we want to do July 6th or July 13th. The 6th would be the Monday after the 4th, which falls on a Saturday next year. So if you think it's gonna be an issue, which it may be, or we may not want to meet on that Monday after a busy holiday weekend, now's the time to speak up so that we can push it back to the 13th.
Well, I think if the holiday falls on a Saturday, then typically isn't it observed on the Friday before? If it falls on a Sunday, then it's the Monday after. So technically, if anybody was gonna
Yeah.
close for the 4th of July, they'd be closed on the 3rd.
Well, I
But-
think it's not,
Are we gonna be able to get quorum?
that's the problem. It's
Right.
more of just, we've had that issue in the past with meetings where if it falls too close to a holiday, we end up having to
Well, that
reschedule anyway.
and typically if anybody, well, the only one that's big three is Randy. The big three are off those 2 weeks.
I say just make it on
On
the 13th and be
vacation.
done with
I
it.
I
agree.
agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, you need a motion to approve that?
Sure, why not?
I'll make a motion to approve the dates as submitted, choosing July 13th as the one in question.
All right, got a motion by
second.
President Malzahn, second by Humphries to adapt the 2020 meeting dates as presented, noting July 13th as a meeting date for July. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Moving on to board member comments. Tom?
Happy to be back. It was rather flattering to see that I got the support to come back. It's been a while, and I've missed it.
Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you aboard.
Thank you. Boy, I knew that. You know me more years than anybody in this room. How about my first house from this guy? On 10.
So did I. And I'm still living in it. Well, not the house, but the property.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. Bill, you're
This is
good.
before you were born, so let's move on.
It
I
was,
don't-
wasn't it?
I know, Bill, you had inquired about the master plan kickoff meeting, so I'll just touch base on it. I don't have a whole lot of specifics, but yeah, we held that meeting. It was quite well attended. We actually had to get out some more chairs. And so we had a significant showing from the public. There was a lot of discussion, turned into a little bit more of, of a concern or a frustration space that they could, air some problems that they see, which didn't necessarily apply to what the master plan does, but we were happy to hear them and take into account some of their concerns. Most everybody was, receptive. There wasn't anything that we brought up that everybody said, oh no, we don't want that included. So Steve Casson facilitated the meeting. He took a lot of good notes. He compiled it, and I believe he presented his initial findings at the Planning Commission meeting last week. I was not in attendance to that, but he's still gonna work on scheduling a follow-up date, as well as working on developing a survey to send out to all the residents now that we have, I think there was an initial 10 or 12 questions that we posed to everybody, and then some additional questions or concerns that people talked about at the meeting. So we're gonna focus in on that, which would be, how do you feel about marijuana facilities? How do you feel about, mixed-use buildings? Do you want more, not mixed use, but residential / commercial in
I
downtown?
heard, I was there, and I guess, I was surprised that he presented his findings to the planning commission. I think he ought to copy us on things that pertain to the downtown, and most of that meeting, in my opinion, was about the downtown. There wasn't very much about the rest of the town that was talked about.
Well, the purpose of the master plan really is for the planning commission
Yeah, but
to look at that. So that's why he's focusing on them as the body that's gonna suggest
It
and
can't-
ultimately come up with the recommendation, and then it would come probably for us and for council to review.
I would
He didn't
think
present anything unless he handed it to him, because he didn't speak on
He
it.
didn't hand anything to us.
Okay.
Oh, I thought he did.
You're on the
Okay.
planning
He said he
commission?
said he was
No,
looking.
I went to the meeting.
And?
He didn't present that information.
Oh, he did not at all.
No, he said
Okay.
he was still working on it. and he
Okay.
would- he
I'm
would
just saying,
present it.
if, since that meeting, in my view, was basically about the downtown,
It was more focused, yes.
and it, because I don't know what you're gonna, anyone's gonna bitch about the rest of the town. There's some specific things wrong with the master plan. The multiple zoning is ridiculous, because it's meaningless, whatever. If we're gonna talk about the downtown, that's our only job here.
I
The
agree.
only reason we're here is for the downtown. The planning commission actually deals with the whole downtown and the industrial, everything else. I'm just saying, we ought to be copied or advised, and it can't cost a single cent more to bring anything that's coming about the downtown to us before the planning commission.
Even just to keep us in the loop or to make
Right.
us aware of the
And
conversation.
that's what I'm saying, Zach.
Yeah, I agree.
Why have the planning commission adopt something and us saying,
Or
No, no, no.
what the hell are you
attending.
doing?
One, the planning commission doesn't adopt it, village council adopts it, but what they'll do is they'll help him focus what
But
that
that's our
should look
job.
like, and then he'll send it to the other boards for their recommendations before they draft a final. So for sure, we would see that and we would get to review it on this level, on council level. The HDC would take a look at it if there's something, to be looked at that, and then we could certainly offer our input. I anticipate having at least one more joint community meeting like we had for the kickoff, so that we would all have that document and be able to offer input, in that
And
forum.
many of the board members from the DDA were at the master plan meeting.
I know
Yeah,
that, I was
so- but
there.
I think what Bill's trying to say is that, it may be beneficial for the DDA to meet with the planning commission so that we can, you know, they can bring up points that we may not consider and vice versa. I mean, there's a lot of things that pertain to the type of businesses that would operate downtown and the type of things that we're doing to try to create a vibrant downtown where before it gets to the point where it's maybe a community meeting where the general public's involved and where, you know, they're working on something before we've even had a chance to look at it, that it might be more beneficial long-term if we can do that collaboratively instead of separately. You know, we've always talked about getting boards together and having more communication between boards, and that this might be the perfect opportunity for that. I mean,
I
right?
agree, that's why I wanted all the boards to come to the kickoff meeting to begin with, so that everybody from the get-go would have a chance to put any, you know, input forth. And I can certainly mention that to Steve, when we see him. He's in the offices, I think on the 2nd and the 4th Friday of the month, that, you know, this board discussed it, and we'd like to know what the next step is for inclusion of this board.
This board doesn't really care what changes it makes. We all care because we live here. It's our center of our lives in some respects. But our focus is the downtown. And before we start making changes to the downtown zoning or planning or anything else, I think we ought to put our input in before the planning commission says, gee, that sounds good to us. That's all. I don't.
Where does, I have a dumb question, where does the blueprint program fit into the master plan now? Because it's been a while since I've been here, so does it even exist anymore?
Nope.
Doesn't even exist?
Nope.
Take a look at the numbers and tell me it exists. I've got copies.
Okay.
It's all outdated and, you know, never.
That's the reason for the new planner, because
Right.
they can't defend their zoning in court if it ever came to it, because the
Who
whole.
can't defend
The
it?
village
Okay.
attorney can't, because anyone walking in there can say this thing is ridiculous, it's out of date.
Right.
I mean, the village idiot would figure out that it's out of date, so.
Because a lot of great ideas were presented in terms of the vitality of the town and the types of businesses, and it came out of the blueprint work that was
I've
done.
never agreed with it.
Well, I know you haven't. You don't agree with me, and I just don't understand why. Anyway, so,
I just-
but there have been things that have been changed that, in my opinion, would have created much more vitality for town. And just kind of bringing it out there to see how that all related, if it was so meshed with the thought process of the DDA, or is this still a, you know, I'm relearning, Bill.
I mean, if this board wants to put on their agenda for next month, you know, the discussion for what you would like to see included in that, I don't know that that would be a bad idea. We can certainly, you know, bring or email out copies of the existing master plan. And if you wanna gather some input and submit something, you know, to the planning commission and saying, hey, these are our ideas, you could do that. If you certainly, we can all go to the next planning commission meeting, you know, and talk about it when it's on their agenda.
I'm not sure that's effective, but.
I would agree with you.
See, there is something, besides the fact today's Monday, we've got something we
just-
can
right.
agree on.
Better than nothing.
Mhm.
Try.
So,
All right, just, thank you.
Thanks.
Spew.
yep.
Carol?
As Christie knows, the village is under their audit right now, and I've been contacted by the auditors. And she gave me a list of things that she wanted, and I have emailed it to her and got a response back that she did receive it. And then Lisa, I didn't have copies of the approved minutes. I just had our copies. And so Lisa sent her copies of the approved minutes today, which I understand are on our website. So But I'm awaiting to see how our audit will turn out. Normally, they come into the office and look at everything, but she didn't want that, so.
Yeah, as far as I know, she'll be back on Monday, so.
I
she'll
sent
probably
her
have
about
yours.
20 different things, so.
Megan, nothing? Carl?
I just have a question, doesn't necessarily relate to this, but about the garbage contract that I saw that we signed, or that you guys, was that able to include the central business district, or it's just for the homes now?
It has a proposal for the central business district, and I was going to get it to Lisa to have an agenda item drafted. Again, there isn't any money in the general fund to absorb that, but there is, I think, a cost savings. And I think that there's a way that the DDA can focus that effort instead of doing dumpster corrals in each of the quadrants. But we could still look at a special assessments district or some sort of revenue sharing tax dollars to eliminate all the dumpsters that are in town, or most of the dumpsters, and replace them with a rolly cart. It's about $16 a business a month. I don't know, again, what most business owners pay for the 3 cubic yard dumpster back there. I still think, I think it would be a cost
Well, that's less than what we had,
savings,
but yeah.
yes, to all the business owners to be able to utilize that. But I think it's gonna take a buy-in, you know, it's gonna take one body to go back and say, this is what we're gonna do. Just like we did for the residential waste hauler, you can't just go out and contract your own, cause we don't want 12 trucks coming every day of the week to pick up trash from, you know, all the different residences. So if we had one waste hauler in on Thursdays, they're doing the central business district, they're doing all the residential areas, I think it would be, you know, a more cohesive program, but I have the numbers, but
So
no.
that's
The
something-
contract, to answer your question, right now doesn't include it, but
okay.
something that I think we should work towards.
So that would be something that the village would be presenting to the DDA as?
I was just gonna bring the numbers to say
Okay.
this is what we had, we included that as one of the options in the RFP.
Gotcha.
When we had it bid out, what would it look like if we serviced, I forget how many,
But the restaurants
Dumpsters.
couldn't use those little things.
correct, there still has to be some, but again, it could probably be coordinated, in a more centrally located one unit instead of like the 4 that are behind me. Right? Do we need 4 grease traps there? Probably not.
What downtown park wouldn't want 4 grease traps right in their line of vision? I mean, I think it's what makes us unique.
The problem is the restaurants have far more offensive trash than the rest of us, any one of us combined.
Correct.
You handle all of your business and your tenants with just roll-offs, and so do I, and I'm not paying anywhere near $16 a what?
A month, I think you said, right?
Mm-hmm, yes, $16 a month, that's for a weekly trash pickup for both recycling and,
Well, we don't get recycling.
And I don't think most of the
Most.
businesses would need that, but it's
Right.
probably
it's,
Well, I already do it.
kind of like
It's
way
the
to go.
bundle.
right.
Do, I have tons of cardboard and stuff, I could definitely recycle, but
How would you then, do you define each of the apartments as a business? mean, I don't-
That's
I'm
the
just-
$50,000 question,
No.
Bill, what, right?
I'm just.
We could pretty much
I
design it whatever we
gave up trying to talk to
wanted,
any of
right?
my tenants about it and just pay.
Right.
I couldn't handle the migraines, and so I just, no,
Right.
and I just hired it done. And
Right.
same with the snow removal, I just don't wanna deal with it anymore, so I write a check.
I had the discussion with the new building owner, of the Starkweather building there, and I said, he wanted to know, why there were 4 different dumpsters, and because you have 4 different tenants that each have a service there. He said, well, I don't want 4, and I went, well, then as the building owner, tell your tenants that garbage collection is included in their rent, and get one, and say, this is the one you're using, right? That's, that's how you solve the issue.
You take control of the situation.
Right,
Yeah, I
So-
understand that.
right. It's a disconnect from the building owners and the tenants.
So we'll probably see that next
Yes.
month? Okay. Lisa?
No?
Motion to adjourn?
Well, go vote tomorrow.
Yes.
No?
Motion to
Adjourn
adjourn
Washington Township?
by Parker. Do we have a second? Second by Poznanski. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.